Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hashing Out the Law. I'm your host, R.S. Hashemi. On this episode, I have with me Jim Sullivan. Jim is the founder of eDiscoveryAI. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Hi, Jim. How are you?
I know that's perfect. Thanks for having me.
Jim, the reason I wanted to have you on is uh, AI and its inception and its inclusion in all areas, specifically the law, because that's what we deal with. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into AI and how you founded I'm sorry, eDiscovery AI.
Sure. No, and I mean, I have a little bit of a non-traditional background. I have a computer science and math degree, kind of went with the technical background before where I went to law school. After law school, I did a little bit of doc review, which is certainly not the most fun you can have. And then I worked in consulting for the use of predictive coding and analytics. So a lot of using technology to facilitate doc review. And after that, I ran a business that was building custom tools for small businesses that happened to be a ton of AI tools. And that just all sort of came together into this use of the law and technology and AI, perfect timing around, where we are and how it's changing, the legal industry. So just really excited for the opportunity to be in this space at a time where these exciting things are happening, because honestly, the law has kind of been a little boring with technology for a while. And this is a really big improvement that I think is going to have massive effects on the whole legal industry as well as every industry.
I do have a question for you. So, at what point did you stop practicing law at one point and go into um, building? You said you were building software for businesses.
Yeah, I actually stopped in 2018 and I had no intention of ever going back. And I worked and I owned with my co-founder at eDiscovery AI. We ran a website and a software company that was building software, generating leads for small businesses in the service industry. And it just everything sort of clicked together where we were using AI to classify social media posts, and it just clicked that this is the perfect use case for the legal industry and e-discovery. So yeah, I left 2018, didn't really have any intention of coming back, but sure enough, got dragged back in about a year and a half ago, because who doesn't want to be in on this opportunity? I always look at um, when I left eDiscovery, I learned that you could like not answer your phone on the weekends. You don't even have to respond to emails after hours, and everyone's really calm and relaxed. But I needed to come back because some of the crazy that happens in eDiscovery is just too much fun.
So tell us about a little bit about the crazy that happens in e-discovery.
Well, I always say there's a lot more crying in eDiscovery than I had hoped for early on in my career. But I mean, with the legal industry, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of large cases, not a lot of margin for error. And everyone I know in this space has a story about how they spent their entire Christmas break working on a second request or something. And mine, for some reason, it was always Thanksgiving for me. I think 3 years in a row, I had to work nonstop through Thanksgiving weekend because of some, urgent case that came up. But everyone I know has a story of running productions from, Dubai at 3 o'clock in the morning, or cases that come up on holidays and things like that. So it's just kind of, we're all, everyone has their stories.
So tell us a little bit about eDiscovery AI. I'm very curious to learn for myself, and I want the viewers and listeners to know, what does your software actually do, or your company? Again,
Yeah.
please, I don't know that much, so feel free to correct me anytime you want.
So, a lot of cool tools out there building AI, a lot of companies building cool AI tools. I don't want to say that any of them are bad. There's so many great use cases. What we're focusing on is just the process of reviewing and classifying documents for discovery. So, when we talk about your e-discovery cases where you have large matters and you need to either review documents that need to be produced or review documents to prepare your own case, ultimately, we've been using human reviewers, human contract reviewers for a long time now, where we're basically using brute force human labor to classify which documents are relevant to your case. So what we're doing is we're using AI to do that classification. So we can take a large volume of documents and you can say, find me all documents related to these topics. And AI will actually review the documents and will identify which documents are relevant to your case, which documents are hot, which documents are important, which documents need to be produced much, much faster, cheaper, and more accurately than humans can. I mean, we really have just got to a point where the computer's ability to classify documents and categorize them is just superior to humans pretty much across the board on any topic.
So Jim, let me ask you a question. If we go back to those Thanksgiving weekends where you worked entire Thanksgiving to prepare the discovery, if you were back, if you we go back in time and now you have the tools in hand, specifically eDiscovery AI, how long would that 4 day vacation take you to complete your tasks?
You know, that's funny because that's actually why that's why I'm here. Because I worked in eDiscovery for about 10 years and there were so many problems that were manual, tedious, things that we just didn't have solutions for, like reviewing documents without text, reviewing foreign language docs, things that we just had to tell clients like, sorry, you're going to have to use human labor, you're going to have to brute force this. And now we can say, oh no, AI can take care of that and do it nearly perfectly. So, you know, not every problem that we had back in the day, you know, a lot of the problems were like processing or, you know, issues with load files. But so I would probably say about half of the problems that really were those nightmare last minute scenarios, rush projects could now be done much, much more quickly with AI versus, you know, using a human approach.
So let me ask you this. For example, let's say I have a case and I have discovery due and it's coming up and I'm desperate, and I reach out to you. How long will it take for me to understand the software, get it to actually work for me? Do I need to be ahead of the game, or is it I don't want to say instant, but can you help me right away?
Yeah, and honestly, it's so much easier than anything we've done before. I mean, we've had a ton of analytics tools, predictive coding, machine learning. This is just describe what you want in natural language and see it. So I would say that if you came to me today and said, "Hey Jim, I have a huge case. I have 500,000 documents I need to review and produce. How long is that going to take me to understand how it works and to do everything?" I would say, you know, give us a week, maybe 2 weeks, and we can have all of the documents reviewed. Where that type of case would have taken months, you know, could have taken 6 to 9 months in the past. You know, now by being able to review, you know, millions of documents each day, you can just go through data so much more quickly.
That's amazing. I know you've written a bunch of books on your website. When I was looking, I know those books are there. One of them is called A Simple Guide to Understanding the Use of AI in E-Discovery. Um, is that more an instructional book, or tell us about the book, please?
It's, you know, what that book is, you know, I was talking to people, I was giving demos, I was going out there for about 6 months, and what happened is the same questions keep coming up. Questions regarding security, questions regarding if the data is being used to train a model, questions regarding what's the workflow look like? Is this defensible in court? What's our process has to be? And so what this book is basically trying to answer all the questions that people had that we saw over 6 months to 12 months of just talking to people in the space and understanding what they had questions about and making sure that we could answer all of those. So it is a very, very practical guide explaining how to do things step by step to make sure that you can understand it very clearly. It's not really a theoretical ideas book as much as telling you real things that you can do to use AI to review documents and answer a lot of those questions around security, around defensibility, around processes, around, you know, anything that people have questions about.
And how does one get their hands on this book?
If you go to eDiscoveryAI.com, there's a link to download both that book and we have a book on predictive coding that was written about 5 years ago, which kind of the same exact story. Predictive coding was, you know, basically what we were using in 2018, 2015 to classify documents, and this is kind of the next iteration where computers have just gotten so much better.
So, Jim, I don't want to take away anything from people going and getting the book from your website, but I do have some questions that the book do answer. You mentioned security. Let's talk about the security. How secure is this? If I upload a whole bunch of documents that are sensitive to my case. How am I sure that it's secure?
I mean, so that's a really important question, but the answer is a lot simpler than I think most people think. So we've always had this security issue. If you upload documents into Google Translate to translate foreign language docs, you know your data is not secure. You know that you can't copy and paste your client's data into free tools because any free tool that's out there is using your data in ways that you probably don't have any control over. So that logic still applies here, where we need to make sure that we're only uploading client data into tools that are secure and private. And right now, the best way to do that as an at-home user is probably to pay for the premium version of ChatGPT, which costs $20 a month, and then changing the settings to say, do not use my data to train your models. Our system uses, a completely, secure mechanism, doesn't use any data to train any models, doesn't send the data out to anyone. So that's the first piece, is just understanding, is my data being used to train any models? And the answer, if you're using the paid version of ChatGPT and enable that setting, is going to be your data is safe and secure. But if you're just going into a free tool, absolutely not going to be the case. And then just like anything we use with data privacy and security, you got to make sure that the data is not being sent to any third parties or not being sent outside of your ecosystem. So that's what we spend a lot of time on, making sure the data is secure. It's all encrypted in transit, and gets the retention policies purge that data right away. But as a user, you just have to be very careful when using AI tools that it's not being sent to any third parties. And again, the best way to do that is just to not be using the free tools out there. If you're using a free tool, you cannot put client data into it. And that's not related to AI as much as every single thing that you might want to do. You can't use a free tool in this industry.
So let me ask you this. I subscribe to your software. I'm a user now, and I upload my documents. Is there someone on the other end that's helping, or is just all completely AI? And if I need help, I have to reach out.
So, when you say helping, if you're talking about having someone who can walk you through the process, that's something that we have a consulting team that is very experienced in understanding not only just the technology but the legal side. If you see the man that wrote the first book with me, the book on Predictive, Tony Reichenberger, he's one of our consultants now, and his job and the job of that team is to make sure you understand the process. You put together a protocol for what you're doing, you have a process, and you have a defensibility strategy. So you make sure that what you're doing is being validated and done properly. So if anyone questions your process, everything's in line. So we have the resources to help you through that. But when you submit a document to our AI review platform, it does get reviewed by AI. No human looks at it. No one touches it. AI is entirely in control of the process and gives you the results. It's just that the process of how you get to that might be something that you need some help with, that we're willing and able to assist with.
Right. So you did answer my question, but I just want to reiterate for my own understanding. Once I upload stuff into your software, there's no one else on the other side looking at it or going through it. It's all AI generated, correct? Or
Correct.
AI powered.
It's all AI powered. We don't have a bunch of people sitting in a room while looking at it quick and trying to make a designation. 100% AI when you submit documents to our system. Yes.
Okay. And then when it comes back to me, is it in a way where I can just download it and present it to court, or do I have to go through it and explain the process to me?
Sure.
Yes.
So most of our clients are using, in the larger matters, you're using a review platform like Relativity, for example. So you have all your data processed and loaded into a review platform. So you have hundreds of thousands, millions of documents that are loaded into this review platform. We have a plugin for Relativity that will allow you to select the documents you want to review, describe what it is that you are looking for, and it will send the documents to us to review, and then we'll populate the results right back into Relativity, where every document will get summarized. So you'll get a paragraph summary of what the document is. And then for each issue you're looking for, it's going to tell you whether it's relevant or not relevant to each issue, and then give an explanation as to why. So you could put in maybe 5 issues saying that I'm looking for all documents that talk about iPhone pricing and iPhone sales numbers and reporting on different, iPhone market strategies, whatever it is. And then it will tell you whether every document's relevant to each of your individual issues and provide an explanation as why. So now if you're not using a review platform like Relativity, you would just get that information in like a CSV where you would have the document ID, the summary of the document, and then telling you whether it's relevant to each of the issues that you're looking for.
Interesting. Now, the question that you raised when we were talking about the book, and one of the questions people ask is it admissible in court? Is that a question that comes up a lot? And if I want to know, since, okay, let me clear this up for my own understanding. I use your software, that everything comes back to me. I put it together according to what I got, and then I submit that to court. Why would there be a question of admissibility when it comes to that?
That's a good point. There shouldn't be. The question is, I have to produce documents to the opposing party that fall, that meet the request for production, right? I submit that, they get it all, and now they say, well, you guys didn't do it right. Your production's incomplete. You need to, verify that what you did was proper. And so, unfortunately, if you hire human beings to look at every document and click on them, the courts have found that that's an acceptable strategy. Now, the results are going to be terrible. We know that humans are going to miss 25% of all relevant documents, and they're not going to have any consistency across anything. But we all know that courts will not question the judgment of licensed attorneys. Now, if you're using AI or you're using any, computer-assisted review where a computer is making those classifications, then the court has traditionally applied a slightly higher standard of review, and that's just that you have to validate the results. So if you take 1,000,000 documents and you say, I want to find all docs about A, B, and C, and you send it to our system and our system reviews them and comes back and says, all right, here are all your docs related to A, here's all the docs related to B, and here's all the docs related to C. If you just took that and said, all right, I'm going to produce it without looking at anything, you're probably going to be determined that you're not doing this in a defensible way, and that, if challenged, you could very well have a bad result. So what we need to do is we need to validate the accuracy of those results. So, when you come back and it says these are all docs related to topic A, B, and C, you need to take a small random sample and you need to check to make sure that what the computer said matches A, B, and C actually does match A, B, and C to a level in which you're comfortable with. So, humans are able to recall 70 to 80% of all relevant documents. AI is finding that we're getting 90, 95 to even 98 and higher percent of the relevant documents. So we just need to check and to make sure that the results are accurate. And that could be as simple as taking 1,000 document random sample, you going through each of them and determining how many times the system got the classification right and wrong. And then we calculate our scores and we say, okay, the computer said these were all relevant. We then did our own validation to confirm that that's true before we produced it. So it's the confirmation step. And this goes not just to eDiscovery, but everything that any lawyers are doing. And I mean, we talk about using AI a lot in the legal industry and how people have gotten into trouble because they submit cases that are not real. And, we talk about hallucinations, and God, I lose an hour of a year of my life every time I hear a story about someone who got caught, using fake citations or something, because the reality is you cannot use AI generated content as your own without reading it and validating that it's correct. So if you're writing a brief and you have AI write it, you have to read it, make sure that it says what you think it's supposed to say before you use that as your own. And this goes to if AI is creating something, if a paralegal is writing something for you, that you have to make sure that you validate the accuracy of anything that's created by someone other than you before you use it. And so all we're doing here is the same thing. Before you use content and work product generated by AI, you have to do a validation to make sure that the AI is accurate to the level that we're comfortable with.
Right. You made a good point there. So the AI is like you having a paralegal. You still have to check the paralegal's work, just like you have to check the AI's work. AI is not there to do your job for you. It's just to help you, assist you, make your job easier.
That's right. And it's like if you go to a judge and say, "Oh, it's not my fault because AI did it," I mean, no one's gonna think that argument's gonna work. I mean,
Right.
I feel bad for anyone that tries it, but just like a paralegal, and even if you're using human reviewers for e-discovery, you should be taking a random sample of their work and checking to make sure that they're getting everything proper. So just like that, if anyone that's not you is doing the work, you need to make sure that you're vetting and properly reviewing it to make sure that it's accurate. And that goes through e-discovery or writing a brief or any motions or any research at all. Um, you have to sign off on this work being your own, and you have to validate that it is true and correct before you submit it as your own.
Now, Jim, if I want your software, if I want to utilize your software, I go to eDiscoveryAI.com. Is that correct?
Yep, eDiscoveryAI.com, and then you can actually sign up. You can get a demo right there. We can get on a call and walk you through how it works and different use cases. We do have some links to a video that will show you kind of how it works inside of relativity and other things as well.